Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on an extremely requested firearm, the new Walther PDP. This particular one is the compact variation. Ever since this thing came out in all of my live streams, people have been asking me, what do I think of it? Does it have an awesome trigger? I was like, I don't have any trigger time on one. I don't have one. I can't tell you. Well, luckily one of my subscribers and one person that has already lent my channel a ton of guns, Paulo, had one and says, hey, I got one. You want to shoot it, but I need it back really fast. So I got it, shot it, cleaned it, doing the review, and I'm going to get it back to him ASAP. So I got some trigger time on this thing. I know this is the kind of the brand new offering from Walther. It's the new hotness, and everyone's been talking about it. Is this the greatest stock polymer trigger in a handgun ever? Well, it's pretty good. But let's talk about the range report and what I thought. I got some things I really like about it. Got some things I might have a couple of concerns about in the long run. Not that they're detriments to the overall design, or doesn't mean I wouldn't want one, because I'll go ahead and kind of spoil this for you. I'm actually going to be in the market for one of these, but not right now. Normally when these guns come out on the market, they kind of come out with like the plain Jane configurations. They don't offer tactical versions with threaded barrels. They usually only offer them in black. It's just kind of the initial run. I'm definitely interested in this. I really want to try out the full-size version with the longer barrel, and I'm going to wait and see if they come out with some different frame color options and of course a tactical version with a threaded barrel. Right now they don't offer any of that. It's just 3 sizes and all in black. And that's fine. I think this is a fantastic gun, and if this is a gun that you're interested in, I don't think you're going to go wrong with it. But let's talk about the range report. How does this gun shoot? Well, first of all, the trigger is absolutely amazing, but it's not that much better than the already amazing Walther PPQ. This is my Walther PPQ Tactical. This one is from my personal collection. And this is one that I have mentioned before might be the best polymer striker fired trigger ever. And it's pretty amazing. And to be honest with you, I don't really think, as much as the media kind of wants to hype it up, or the gun media and other YouTubers, I personally believe, after inspecting, disassembling both of these guns, I think they're pretty much the same trigger. Maybe they've refined a couple of parts, but the triggers on both of these firearms are just absolutely amazing. So here's the Walther PPQ. It has a fantastic trigger. There is no grit all the way to the wall. There's the wall, very light break. And then it has an absolutely short and beautiful reset. And you're already right there at the wall. It's great. It's awesome. It's light, but not too light. Now let's show you the PDP here. So here's the trigger pull on the PDP. So honestly, it feels very much like the PPQ. Maybe this one might have a little bit better take-up, and I think you can also hear it when it hits the wall, which I do like. That wall seems to be a little bit more solid. It easily breaks, and then the reset is about the same. Overall, I think both triggers are 5 out of 5 stars. Maybe the feel of the PDP might be just a smidge better on the take-up, but it's not enough to go, wow, it's the most amazing thing, sell the PPQ and buy PDP. It's not that great. Definitely is a little bit of an improvement, but not that much, but both are honestly amazing. I think they just kind of refined the trigger. Maybe a couple parts might have a little bit different dimensions now. They give it that little bit better take-up, but it was almost already perfect, and they just made it a little bit better. So I guess it's kind of going off of Glock's motto of perfection in every generation. I guess they perfect perfection. That's kind of what Walther was doing here. The rest of the gun, to be honest with you, aesthetically, I think looks way better than the PPQ. Now, this might be controversial for me to say, and maybe some people will disagree with me, but after handling both guns, looking at the controls of both guns, looking at the internals, how the triggers work, let's see if I can get both these in frame here, how the ambi controls work, how everything looks, let me tell you that I think, for the most part, the PDP is simply a rebranding and a redesign externally of the PPQ. The frame shares a lot of similarities. You don't have any finger grooves on the front, which I do like. The slide, of course, is totally redone. In fact, it reminds me, with these cocking serrations on the front and back that are very broad, reminds me a lot of the Beretta APX. Now, when this Beretta APX came out in the modular handgun trials, people thought it looked stupid with these big old cocking serrations on both sides. They said, oh, it's terrible, but the idea was that you can cock this gun from anywhere on the side. And what I mean by side, I mean front and back, not left or right. But I kind of liked it. Yeah, it was different, but I think now, just like the Glock 19X that everyone kind of made fun of, they made fun of those cocking serrations. Now you're starting to see them on other guns like the PDP. I actually like that. I like those broad serrations. You can really get a good grip anywhere on the slide, maybe except around the ejection port. But they're really tactile. You get a great purchase. And I know if you're wearing gloves, you're not going to miss it. So I do like that. So the whole external cosmetics of the firearm, I think, are a huge upgrade over the PPQ, which honestly, I always thought the PPQ kind of looked a little busy for me. Now, I know the aesthetics of a firearm are pretty much irrelevant when it comes to its function. I mean, after all, look at a Glock. Essentially, it's a big, square box of Tupperware, right? And everyone makes fun of them that they're kind of ugly. Well, I thought the PPQ was aesthetically a very pleasing gun. It's just very busy. There's a lot of things going on. It's very pretty too, if you can call a gun pretty. I think that the PDP aesthetically looks a little bit more like a duty gun, more of a military gun, something that's a little bit more serious. This one looks, like I said, like a military police gun, where I think the PPQ looks more like a competition gun or a race gun. And that's probably why you have the different versions of the PPQ with the all metal frame. That was maybe the market that they were going for with that particular handgun. So what issues do I have with this gun after handling it? There's a few plastic parts on this gun that the PPQ does not have. Not that they're going to be deal breakers. Now, the first off is going to be the sights. Now, these sights remind me a lot of the stock Glock sights. They're polymer. The rear is adjustable, and there are plastic adjustable sights that the Glocks are sometimes imported with that you'll see occasionally. To me, these are very chintzy. They're not great, but obviously someone that's going to buy this is probably going to upgrade the sights anyway, maybe to a Trigicon or an Ameriglow or whatever offerings they have out there. I haven't checked, but I'm going to guess the PPQ sights are probably going to be compatible with the PDP sights. So you probably have an aftermarket support for this gun already. Something else is the plate for the optics on this gun is definitely polymer. Now, that probably saves weight. It doesn't matter because you don't actually mount the optic to this little plastic plate itself. No, but on the PPQ, this is definitely a metal plate. And I kind of like that a little bit more, especially if you're just going to use a non-optic slide. I kind of want that to be metal. It just gives me a sense that it's a little bit higher quality, a little bit more durable, and if you over torque those screws a little bit, you don't have to worry about the polymer breaking. Not that that would be a big deal, I guess, because you can easily replace it. I just like the fact that the PPQ has a metal plate versus the PDP, which has a polymer plate. And there is one polymer part on this gun that I'm extremely concerned about because it looks like, for me, it's very cheap, it's going to break. In fact, when you reassemble the gun, you can already see it flexing. And that's going to be the recoil assembly. See here, I gotta remember how to do this. There we go. All right, so on this recoil spring assembly here, the rod itself is, let me see if I can get this into focus. Hopefully it will. See if I can get out of the way here. Maybe not, I don't know. Well, you have to trust me here. But the rod itself is polymer. And it's actually a two-piece polymer guide rod where the rear actually is a separate piece and it kind of swivels a little bit. So you get a little bit of flex in there. And so when you reassemble the gun and you put the spring up against the bottom of the barrel, it actually kind of bends here. Now, in the long run, man, this thing is not getting into focus. There it goes. It actually kind of bends a little bit. and you can get a lot of play in there. Now, it's probably designed to do that, okay? So when it does catch on the lever to reassemble it, it probably is in there straight. But the fact that it has so much flex in there, and that this is going to be a high wear part, and if you're someone that shoots a high volume of fire, I tend to think this thing is going to break. Maybe not immediate, but after a few thousand rounds. I definitely think they could have done a little bit better job with the recoil spring assembly. Now, granted, the PPQ also has a polymer guide rod in there, but it seems to be one piece instead of two. Now, I haven't checked to see if that's the truth about all PPQs, but that's just the way that mine appears to look. And this one also doesn't have as much flex, or it doesn't bend as much, although it looks exactly the same. So I kind of feel like this gun might need a little bit different recoil spring assembly, or maybe an upgrade or something. And especially if it's, I'd like to see a metal upgrade as well. But that's just me. So I have a couple of polymer parts in here, not really a huge fan of. But I'm going to trust Walther in that they know what they're doing, okay? So Walther does not put out crappy guns. They don't put out guns they haven't tested, okay? So I'm gonna say this gun's gonna work. Those aren't gonna be issues because I trust Walther. I can't even think of anybody that has said anything bad about Walther's quality, especially as of late. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just going by my guts here. Just going, yeah, I kind of wish they wouldn't have skimped on those parts. You know, I would totally be willing to pay an extra $20 to have a metal guide rod. That's just personally me. A couple things too, I want to talk about the grip frame that I really like is the texture of the grip frame has these little, it's like hexagons. They're really, really good when it comes to grip and the way the gun feels in your hand. The texture of this is phenomenal. Absolutely love it. This is a huge upgrade over the PPQ. And as I mentioned before, the PPQ does have kind of slight finger grooves on the front, where the PDP does not, which I do like. I like the non-finger grooves because not everyone's hand is the same. It does have removable back straps, so you can have small, medium, and large. This one particularly is the small. I know that Paulo runs those, and I actually prefer the small ones as well. One last thing I do want to give a lot of props to Walther for, because other companies like HK I don't think do this very well. This gun has ambi controls when it comes to the slide release. So you have a lever on this side and a lever on this side. And it's connected by the actual lever itself through the gun. Now, so it's a two-piece system. So the arm on this side is connected to the lever on the arm on this side. On HKs, especially like my HK 45C, this side wobbles like crazy. In fact, I've even seen people that will take duct tape and wrap around it to give it a little bit more friction. Both the PDP and the Walther, this thing is solid. It's great. It doesn't have any play in it whatsoever. And I think they do that way better than HK does and a few other companies that have ambi controls that are kind of designed the same way. So I give them a lot of props for that. It makes the gun feel, especially if you're using it on the left-hand side or as a lefty, that the gun is quality. You don't have any slop or play in those controls, and I like that a lot. So, how do I rate this gun? Okay, on my 5 out of 5 star system. Now I know a lot of people are gonna make fun of me at this because they go, what does it take to get a gun to get 5 out of 5 stars? As I've mentioned, a gun to get 5 out of 5 on my personal scale is a gun must not only meet all of the expectations I have for the gun, it must exceed them. It must do something that I wasn't expecting. So a perfect score, if it meets all the expectations, is 4.75 stars out of 5. And that is what I'm going to give the Walther PDP. It is an exceptional gun. An exceptional gun. Oh, and that reminds me, one thing I do want to mention. The recoil impulse of this firearm is much more than I was expecting. So that would also mean it's not a perfect 5 out of 5. When I shoot this as compared to the SIG M18, which I did side by side at the range just because I was reviewing both of the guns and getting footage for both of the guns at the same time, The recoil on this gun is significantly more than the SIG M18 and significantly more than the Glock 19 I also had as well. I'm not really sure why. The grip feels very comfortable. This is a pretty weighty gun, so I would assume that it has a lot of inertia. It could be just the fact that the slide is a little bit beefier. It's definitely wider, especially at the top. So maybe the fact that you have more reciprocating mass gives you a little bit more recoil impulse. That's just for me. So I didn't like that about the PDP. I'd be really interested in trying the full size and see if that also translates into the larger size. So, with all that said, 4.75 stars out of 5 for the Walther PDP. This is definitely a gun that I am interested in. I am just personally going to wait for all the hype to die down so the prices come down, and also wait to see what other offerings they're going to have in the future. My gut tells me they're going to come out with a tactical model just like they do with the PPQ. They're going to come out with ones with better sights, maybe some night sights or fiber optic sights, and they're probably going to come out with different frame colors, which I would be very interested in, especially a flat dark earth. I think this is just a great platform to upgrade in that way. So there you go, the Walther PDP. You guys requested it. Paulo made it happen. I got it to the range, and I am extremely, extremely impressed with this gun. Just shy of an absolute perfect score. It met all of my expectations. Love the trigger, definitely a little bit better. Not 100% happy with the recoil spring assembly and the plastic plate and the plastic sights, but those are things that I could totally deal with and do not detract away from the overall great performance of the firearm. So there you go, the Walther PDP range report. So, have you guys had a chance to shoot this thing yet? I know they're kind of new on the market and everybody is raving about them. And I'd really be interested if any of you guys have the full-size version and what you think about the recoil impulse. This is the only example so far I've shot, and so it's my only data point. So there you go. So that is my range report, Walther PDP. So let me know if you have any questions. And as always, thanks for watching.